I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Monday morning.
Yeah, I know. He said Monday. I'm no happier about it either.
Mr. Thorpe, you're a good capitalist, right?
I'm also tired.
You're ready to get to work, make that money.
I'm tired. That's what it is today. It's the body going, just go. Let's go back to sleep. And yeah, it was a long night. So yeah, I did not sleep well.
Well, there's an alternative for you, Mr. Thorpe. You can take some illicit drugs and just ride RTD.
Hey, all right.
Article
I
in the
didn't know that was
Denver
an option.
Post about this. RTD grappling with illicit drugs and the use of buses and trains as shelters. As it gets colder out there, that's where they're all heading. Is what is RTD to do about it? And the amount of money they're spending trying to deal with it is shocking. Maybe becoming the illicit drug capital of the country wasn't the best idea for Colorado. But we'll get into that and more. Now it's time for news with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
It is Monday, 31 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 50 today. It's going to be a nice day. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story ceremonies held around the nation Sunday to mark the 84th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, and we can never and should never forget about that. Lakewood police investigating after a woman was found dead in her home over the weekend in the 300 block of South Kendall Street. Investigators say the woman's death appears to be linked to a suspected burglary of her home. Police asking neighbors to check their surveillance cameras for any suspicious activity that could help in their investigation. The Broncos at the Raiders, 3rd and goal after the Broncos drove down the field early on. Scoreless.
Nix, he's going to run it this time at the 5. Nix is in. Touchdown. And what an opening drive for the Broncos. The telepathy was there, but watch as he starts to step up.
Sorry, my computer slipped. But the Broncos didn't. They win their 10th straight, 11-2 now, 24-17 over the Raiders. Bo Nix, 31 of 38, 212 yards, and he ran when he had to, which was beautiful. 15 yards and a touchdown. R.J. Harvey, 75 yards and a TD on the ground. Marvin Mims Jr. with a 48-yard punt return in the second quarter, and the Broncos roll to the victory. Head coach Sean Payton.
The division thing is about who's on top, and so everyone's chasing Kansas City. They've won the division, so it's hard to have 4 or 3 rivalry games. That's just my opinion.
All right. I love how he continues to downplay it. And that's the way he should be handling this. 10 straight, 11-2. Here's Bo Nix.
Your job as a quarterback, execute the play that's called, get your team in the end zone, and at the end of the day, have more points than the other team and find a way to win. And that's what we're managing to do.
Yes, sir. I have to mention this again. Selena Gomez, Lena Dunham, and Taylor Swift at the Chiefs game last night. And someone needs to tell them that the Chiefs aren't relevant anymore. The Chiefs lost to the Texans 20-10 last night. And maybe they should follow the L.A. Rams or some team like that in Hollywood.
You think she sticks with the football player? What's his name? Travis Kelce?
I think so. I think they're supposed to get married, right? They're
but
engaged.
He's no longer a champ. He's they're down there.
Point.
They're down there on the rankings.
Yeah.
And women naturally don't necessarily go for guys that are, below them in the economic.
That's a good point.
Although I just saw a really funny post, something to the effect of like, combined Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are worth $1.67 billion, of which she's $1.6 billion.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, sooner or later, they're all going to realize, yeah, this is Kansas City, Missouri, where we are. It's all glitz and glamour when they were winning. You can only go to Gates Barbecue so many times.
You know they set a date, right?
Oh, they did. Yeah, when is that?
What is the date?
Of course I know this. June 13th.
Okay.
Yeah,
they would do
That's
that.
right.
And
That's
she's
right.
even-
I remember.
and there have been a couple of names that have been leaked so far that are possibilities for the bridal party. So we'll have to see. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, there are lots of rumors running around. But yeah, they set
Yeah,
June
they can-
13th of 2026 is the wedding date. So let's see.
Good.
Yeah.
They're going to live happily
you know
ever
Taylor
after.
better than Blake and I. Blake and I
Way
are like
better.
Republicans and Democrats
Hey.
trying to talk about health.
Oh, yeah, way better.
Now, tell us if she's going to stick with Travis Kelce when his career starts to slip off.
I would say yes, but here's the reason. It has to do personally, I feel, with what else Travis has going. And the reason I say this is because there has been a lot of stress in the marriages of former athletes once they're at home and they don't have something 9 to 5.
Yeah.
They sort of get in the way. It's kind of like, this is the idea. And I'm being facetious with this, but back in the day, when you had Tim the Toolman Taylor, and he had he's had the joke about how he'd walk around the house with his tool belt and go, "Come on, break something. I'm just waiting for it." That's kind of what happens. Is you get these older athletes that have, they're older in terms of the sport, but they're still young in terms of, everybody else on the show here. So they have, energy and stuff, and they're just like looking for stuff to do. And so sometimes they're like following the wife around, like, "What are you doing today? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What? How about this? Maybe I should do this. Maybe we can do this." And so like just space. So that's what I think it will be. As long
what
as
do you think he
Travis has
does?
other things. Oh, he's going to TV. He'll be signed for
Oh,
TV.
okay.
Yeah, he'll be at TV,
That's a
yeah.
great point. That's a great point.
Yes,
and that's what it
yes.
will be. So he will still have the same NFL type schedule, only he won't have the grind. And so what he'll be able to do is he'll be able to be stage, husband a little bit more often. So he'll fly to the concerts. He'll be able to come back here. He can go to some
Right.
recording sessions. Yeah. Being a
So
TV broadcaster is a pretty sweet deal as far as NFL versus
He's
playing.
like the good balance because he pursued her. You remember he went after and pursued her, which girls love.
Yes.
And then, but is not so needy. He's just going to be there like front row every concert.
Yeah.
Going, "You're the best."
Yep.
He's got
That's
his
what
own
it'll be.
life.
And it's if he does not, if whatever it is, if the podcast, fails that his brother in here doing that is going really well right now, and if he can't find a TV gig or the TV gig flames out, then I think there are problems. If he doesn't have something else going on, then there are problems. As long as he has something else to do, they're going to be fine.
Are there any examples of major female pop stars in long-term relationships?
Yeah.
I'd have to look, but there are several.
Rodney Pete was in a long-term relationship with who was it? The actress.
Oh yeah, and then you have Russell Wilson and Ciara.
Yeah.
Been at it for a while.
That one's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
because
Josh Allen as well. So there are a few that it does seem to work. So we'll have to see. A lot of it is just having to do with schedules and not matching up. But now we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Frank Gifford.
Oh yeah.
There you go. There's a long time one.
Although he was entrapped, wasn't he? Wasn't there an effort to entrap him?
Boy, I don't remember that one.
Maybe
Frank
years ago.
Frank Gifford was married to the lady.
Yeah.
What's her
Kathy
name?
Lee.
Kathy Lee.
Kathy Lee.
Yeah.
That's
there's a whole-
entrapment.
I like her, but there was
No,
a
I
whole,
like her too.
There was a whole effort by, I think, I was reading this the other day. There was an effort by some British tabloid where they hired a flight attendant.
Oh yeah.
To
Yeah,
go
I remember
after
that.
him.
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, I do
And,
remember that.
Like,
But they tried to.
and basically entrapped him. I mean, to a point, he's at the end of the day, he's the one making the choice. But
Yeah.
Here's
she
what's
was
going
throwing
to
herself at
happen.
him.
Taylor Swift is going to end up dressing Kelsey even more than she does now. And he's going to go on those shows or on TV looking like a wide receiver and not a tight end. So
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know about that because I've seen Travis's brother show up on TV and I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Right. Well, here's what I wanted to
know
ask
about
you, Billy. I wanted to ask you. So now it's filtering over to their mom, right? She has the. I saw the commercials.
Yeah.
On Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So she.
Everybody gets it, and especially inside of a Kansas City crowd,
Right.
she has more relevance. So Travis Kelce's mom has more relevance, inside a Kansas City crowd, just like you used to see the Saquon Barkley Campbell's ads with his mom.
Yeah.
Those would run during Giants games, and now they run during Philadelphia games. So it resonates with that audience. Absolutely.
She has a look like a TV show or something.
I don't know. I don't know on that one, but I know that
Yeah.
she does a lot of the interviews. She's kind of a lower tier type of mom celebrity versus other moms in the NFL. Yeah,
that's exactly why I hate the NFL. All right, go Broncos. The last pennies minted by the U.S. government are expected to bring in big bucks at auction this week.
The coins will be sold by Stax Bowers Galleries on Thursday with 232 3-penny sets, one for each year pennies have been in circulation. Each set will include 2 regular pennies from the mints in Philadelphia and Denver and one 24-karat gold penny. Each set is expected to bring in between $45,000 and $50,000. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
And the 12-team college football playoff has been unveiled, and Big Ten champ Indiana beat Ohio State over the weekend, and they're the number 1 seed in the playoffs. 30 in Westminster, 29 in Highlands Ranch, 31 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill on a Monday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 KNUS forecast this early Monday. A few clouds this morning, temperatures around 25 as you start the day. Sunny this afternoon, highs close to 50. A few clouds tonight, lows in the upper 20s. Even warmer for Tuesday, breezy, sunny, highs around 55. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, Bill, ridership with RTD has dropped off a lot from its high in 2019. 106 million people used to ride the, what do you call it, the rough, tough, and dirty?
Yeah, rough, tough, and dirty. Yeah, that's our name for it. That's mine.
106 million in 2019. We're now down to 60 million. Whoa. That's a big drop off. We're spending a lot of money on security. We used to be around 26 million in 2018. Now up to 4.18 million in 2024. Projected to be 50 million this year in security alone. That's nearly a doubling in security, in part because it's a place where drug users go and just use, hang out. It's warm, especially in these winter months, but they have a solution. Bill, did you see this?
Yeah, no, what?
This comes from RTD itself. Deborah Johnson, the chief executive of RTD, saying that we do have a solution. In addition to nearly having to double the security to deal with this, there's strength in numbers. Mr. Thorpe, you are the solution. Did you know that?
I am.
If there were more people on the transit vehicle, the average human being is less likely to act up.
Okay.
There you go.
That's not a solution. That's just the hell. Oh, come on. I'm sorry. This is just silly.
That's what they said. That's the headline out of the Denver Post. RTD grapples with illicit drugs and the use of buses and trains as shelters. And if there's more of you, they say that critical mass of riders who collectively deter crime and create a more secure transit experience looms as the ultimate solution to challenges that the RTD and other transit agencies fare, especially when extreme weather hits. Big cities like London, Tokyo, and New York have that. But achieving strength in numbers elsewhere has been difficult, especially in Metro Denver, with the total annual ridership of RTD buses and trains plummeting.
Well, I mean, I understand the point, because think about when you've got large groups of people that are headed down for a Broncos game, Nuggets game, not as many for a Rockies game, just being fair. Maybe going down there for a concert. Also, you see a little bit of increased ridership on some lines based around Elitches and summer months. That, yeah, you do not see as much illicit drug use as if you're going on, just the regular 9 to 5 type of ride. Absolutely, there is the strength in numbers, but the fact that that's the solution, that hurts my head, because what I hear now, parents will understand this implicitly. With one of your children, there comes a point where there's some sort of an outburst that your child is mad about something. And they're like, but you don't love me enough, and this is why, and I told you that I needed and you don't care. Oh, I told you that my bed, it hurts me. You don't care. I told you it hurts my back, and when I wake up, and you guys don't do anything about it. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing this emotional outburst from a child going, well, you're the problem. It's you. It's not me. It's you. You're bad parents. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing a toddler throwing a temper tantrum. And part of it is, if there was, if the experience was better, if it ran at a better clip, if there was a strategic advantage to put my body onto that light rail, train, or the bus versus getting into my own car, then you can do something. But just saying, hey, you got to ride it more, or these people are going to do drugs. That's probably the least effective thing that I have heard coming out of any sort of government official for years.
Well, I don't
and that's
think
including Mike Johnston's dumb thing.
I don't think they really want to solve the problem ultimately, because they know what it requires to solve the problem, and they hate it. It's like kryptonite to them, the idea that you might have to put somebody in jail. I was speaking for Turning Point at the Colorado School of Mines. I was asked about homelessness and drug use and incarceration and all that stuff. And I drive libs crazy almost more than any other time when I mention this, that if you're using drugs publicly, you should be incarcerated. I'm sorry. We have other people's rights to be concerned about. We have the rights of the people that want to ride RTD, the mom that wants to take the kids to the parks. I'm tired as a civilization bending over backwards for drug users. That, oh yeah, well gosh, it's a real disease, and we must allow them to live freely in a tent and use their drugs and threaten everybody's well-being. No, we don't. And in my mind, it's an act of compassion to incarcerate them, because one, these drugs are likely going to kill them. So yes, I think there's a role for the state to step in and go, we're no longer going to allow you to do this, both to protect yourself from your addiction. We're actually going to put you in a cage with walls, and you're not going to get access to these drugs, and we're going to provide, people to help you come down off of your addiction. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But we are going to lock you away to, one, help protect yourself, and two, to protect the community that's tired of dealing with this. Taxpayers. We already know that RTD's subsidized to the point of like 90%, right? That taxpayers are keeping this thing afloat. Nobody wants to ride it. It's basically a shelter for drug addicts at this point, and they just ride around and use their drugs. So nobody wants to ride that. Nobody wants to go down into the city of Denver. And the city and RTD now spending $50 million a year, near double, on security to try to deal with these people. So you can't use the services that your own tax dollars are funding, and we somehow want to avoid what the actual solution is. Cashless bail, we want to, provide needle injection sites. We want to provide all this compassionate guidance for someone that's a drug addict. Put them away. Put them away until they get clean. Sorry, I'm tired of dealing with this in our communities. And what you get out of this article in the Denver Post is like, well, this is a problem across America. Nobody's been able to solve this, says David Cooper, director of Transit Cooperative Research Program. At a meeting in Denver, public transit officials reached a consensus that local governments must help transit agencies ensure the safety of their riders. We need support when it comes to mental health, when it comes to substance abuse, when it comes to individuals who need some place to go. Those are the things that are beyond the transit agencies. Those are the things that are city, county, and state responsibilities. It's always the same thing. It's like mental health guidance, substance abuse guidance, or a place for people to go. It's just always the same thing, and we just kind of trug along as a society that can't seem to advance. You don't have a right to use drugs openly. I'm sorry, you just don't. There's too many other considerations, including the safety and welfare of taxpayers that actually want to use the services they're paying for. All right, join the conversation. Give us a call. RTD dealing with drug use and homeless problems. It's a headline out of the Denver Post. Their solution, now doubling security officials. Is it going to work? Would you ride RTD? Is that the ultimate solution? Am I a terrible, horrible person for saying we should lock people up who are openly using drugs in our communities? Or do you agree with me? It's time to move on. Start doing that so we can clean up our communities. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis is the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. He also won a $200 million verdict for a family that lost their daughter in the Glenwood Springs amusement park accident, discovering through his investigative prowess that there was a policy to override alarms that were going off by that company. Not only getting justice for that family, but holding a major company accountable for the decisions that they were making all of our lives safer when we take our kids to an amusement park. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. Bill, to our discussion last hour about Dave Logan.
Yeah.
I know Dave also does endorsements for Mr. Caplis.
Yes,
but
he does.
Mine are better. Sorry, Dave. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
text messages going. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. We're talking the headline out of the Denver Post. RTD grappling with illicit drugs and the use of buses and trains as shelters. As it gets colder, that's where the drug users go. And the chief executive, Deborah Johnson, saying that the solution, in addition to now having to double the amount of money they're spending on security, and by the way, 90% of RTD is subsidized by you, the taxpayer, already, and by grants as well. I mean, it makes very little money. The whole thing is propped up, okay? They have to double their security. Their solution, if there are just more people riding, if you just rode it more, the average human being is less likely to act up. You're the solution. Now, we all remember the video of the innocent woman that got stabbed in the neck riding in North Carolina's public transportation. I'm not sure her just being there was the solution that made it less likely that guy was going to act up. She was targeted and killed as a result of that guy being on that train. So what do you do with RTD? What do you do with the drug use that's happening? I'm fed up with it. And I understand people texting in saying, Jeff is callous and rude when talking about addicts. I lost my son to a fentanyl overdose, putting him in jail for drug use. I feel he is making it a punishment, and it's a disease. On the other hand, they write, I feel strongly that if he would have went to jail when caught with narcotics, it may have saved his life. So I do agree with users that users should go to jail, but I guess I could do it without the attitude. They're not animals. 5353 writes, they're sons and daughters. I agree. I agree with you that they're absolutely human beings. But as a society, we have coddled, explained away, and excused drug addiction, and it's directly harming not only the people that are using those drugs and dying in record numbers. Fentanyl overdoses, 100,000 a year in America dying, but we've sacrificed our own safety and our tax dollars to this problem that needs to be addressed with a stronger, more forceful perspective that you cannot use drugs openly in public. We're not going to allow it. And if you do, you're going to be incarcerated. And if you're addicted, so much so that you're shooting up in our streets, that you're wandering around like a zombie out there, I'm sorry, we're going to put you behind bars, both for your own good, but also for the rights and well-being of other peoples in the community. I think that's more compassionate than allowing people to die overdosed on the street corner, freezing to death. Let's go to the phone lines. Dwayne Divide. Good morning, Dwayne. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm out searching for 250 million gallon propane tanks so I can get propane through 2050. So that's my word for the day.
You and your racist gas fireplace?
Well, yes, I'm sorry, but I have to have that in the fireplace. We've used it this week. I think it was down to 18 below zero a couple of times with the wind chill. So, yeah, well, I'm up on a bluff, so wind just hits me. So it was one of those things. As far as people out there on the drug thing, I had a young lady that I allowed stay for a little bit, and I said, you got 6 weeks, clean up and go. When I kicked her out, a couple of days later, she came with a claw hammer and destroyed my front door, begging to come back in. I'm like, this is not the way to do that. And I know the drugs are changing her from the person she can be to the person she was doing that.
Yeah.
And I was in Central America. They have a very easy way to take care of DUIs, Jeff. They sit there and test you, and if you test out at whatever the numbers were, I don't remember, they stick the little tag on you that says what your drug alcohol was. They put you in the front of your car, and they put a 22 in the back of your head behind your ear. That way you don't DUI again.
Good night.
You know, I mean, you clean up the streets by having drunk drivers. Trust me. Having been to a few events, I was like a few events I went to, and I was like, what's in this sauce? Because if there's any kind of alcohol, I don't even want to get near it.
Well,
even with,
Dwayne, to that point, look, I'm not calling for the execution of drunk drivers, but, I remember growing up reading about the dude that spray painted cars and got caned for it in Singapore. You remember that? The American? Michael Mark something? And that sent like a shiver down my back that like, whoa, they don't tolerate that stuff. Now, maybe not executions, but canings?
Well, we have to come back to something, much like the birthright citizenship thing, then I'm hoping you're going to talk about that soon. We have to come back to a fact that we have to have an organized society. We have to sit there and say the ne'er-do-wells and hooligans need to be cleared off. It's not against the law to sit there and take somebody who's a threat to society when they start begging, panhandling, or coming up and grabbing, to sit there and say, you're a possibility of an issue. We need to get you off the streets.
Dwayne, now help me understand this. If I understand the idea of someone being aggressive, but if someone is panhandling, where's the threat?
Bill, you've never been threatened by a panhandler?
Again, that's not what I said. As someone that is panhandling, where is the threat? Having a panhandler threaten you, that is an affirmative action. That's absolutely anybody coming over and threatening you would be could be open for legal action or possible arrest. It doesn't matter. But you had said the panhandlers provide a threat. I want to know what the panhandlers do that is threatening.
Well, let's see. One broke a mirror. Another one sat there and beat the daylights out of my door at a stoplight because I said, I don't have any cash. I'm sorry. And he says, I have Venmo. And I was like, dude, I don't have time to take your numbers.
Yeah. But again, I can see that. But we have people that get into fights at bars and everything else, and that would be simple assault. What I'm worried about is the idea that we are saying you as a panhandler then automatically equal threat. And that's what I'm worried about, that we are going to self-define a population or a group based on the fact that they're a threat.
Why not?
Because
Douglas County has done that.
Because it can be a very dangerous stereotype.
Well, you can't panhandle. They just said you can't do it.
Okay.
We're not going to allow it in Douglas County. And do you think Douglas County is better or worse for that?
I don't know. I mean, it would depend on where and when and what they were trying to do with it. So we can, adjust that based on what we see. But I don't think that necessarily saying that because you're a panhandler, you automatically then equate to a threat. I think that's a little dangerous.
Bill, again, I come back to $7,000 worth of damage to my truck door and mirror, and I had to get a wrap put back on. Yeah. So that was out of my pocket because I didn't dare touch the insurance. That was a panhandler next to drug users, and that was on Colfax.
Has that happened every time you've stopped with a panhandler?
Well, I haven't had an accident every time in over 1 million miles of driving, but I was in a head-on that paralyzed me for 6 months and 56 broken bones.
But you drove again, right?
Yeah, after a year and a half of rehab.
Well, I know, but
so,
Dwayne, Dwayne, I know, but you're self-proving my point. The idea is that yes, you had a bad experience with this one panhandler, but then assuming that all panhandlers are going to react that violently, I would disagree with. I don't think that's necessarily fair to the group. I don't think it's fair to any group to say that because one individual did this. It's the same thing that we had one individual that is an Afghan refugee that shot two National Guard members, and now Donald Trump wants to throw all the Afghan refugees out just because the actions of one person. Yeah, that's the problem.
No, but I think what you're doing is you're trying to carve off and say, okay, well, panhandling in itself is not an act that's dangerous, but there are panhandlers that are dangerous, and so we need to somehow bifurcate that. I think when you're coming to law and policy, which is what communities are trying to come up with, trying to create that distinction with people that panhandle, go, hey, you folks out there that are asking for money, just do so rationally in a way that's not going to be violent. It takes extra leaps and steps that you're asking an audience already that's out there panhandling to do so in a rational way. I think when it comes to law and policy, what Douglas County did is exactly right. We're just not going to allow it. You can't do it. It's not safe for our communities. Creating these bifurcations and distinctions with regards to panhandling, you're risking too much with regards to law and policy. It's clear and easier. You just don't do it here.
Yeah, but we do it all the time. We do. I mean, speed limits are the easiest way to show that. Speed limits, we do it all the time. You're okay driving at this level,
go ahead,
and then
Dwayne.
we go faster.
When I go over and visit my boss over in the Middle East and Dubai, you can walk around with 100 pounds of gold on you and nobody bothers you. because the draconian laws and everything else work out well. Do I want to see that? No, I do not. And the fact that, yes, on the random wheel of life, oh, on Thursday you get mugged. I'd prefer to sit there and say, let me get out of that Thursday and move on to something else. We can have clean streets. We need to sit there and have, as a societal issue whatsoever, is to sit there and say, if you're not mentally competent, it's time to move you in to get you either A, off the streets permanently, or B, get you to where you can get help and come back, because people go into jail and after 90 days, 120 days, they come back out, they're still using, they're still getting, and if Jeff, you don't think they get drugs in the federal prison down there in Florence, I got a bridge I'd love to sell you, because they do.
Yeah, I
They get
understand,
drugs
but
everywhere.
still, right now, what's happening, that drug use openly and publicly with almost no consequences needs to be addressed. Dwayne, I appreciate the call. That's Dwayne.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne.
Trying to stay warm and divide when the libs are taking away his natural gas. My goodness, that's hitting hard. And it should, by the way. If you missed all that, we talked about it last week. But libs in Colorado looking to take your entire home off of natural gas by 2050. And you're going to have to pay for it, by the way. All right, let's talk L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. Great pivot to a read with L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. Look, enjoy natural gas and good heating while you can. I think Republicans will be able to fight this one back, and I think the voters of Colorado will. But you know how unpredictable Colorado weather can be. One day it's 70 and sunny. The next you're reaching for that thermostat. That's why I trust the team at L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. They've helped Colorado families stay comfortable for years with honest pricing, reliable service, and that small-town integrity that's hard to find. It's true. They're local. This is not a we tried to go with one of those big corporate heating and air conditioning. They signed us up for some weird monthly plan, promising discounts. They were a disaster. Trying to get out of them was even harder. But with L&L Heating and Air Conditioning, you do have that small town care and compassion and integrity, which is awesome. I've been thrilled with them. Have had no problems with the furnace and air conditioning they installed at our house. Right now, they're offering a furnace system evaluation for just $59.95. And if another company's trying to sell you something big, L&L will give you a complimentary second opinion so you can make the right call. And here's a bonus. With any new furnace or AC installation, you'll get a free programmable thermostat. I got one of those. I can control it with my phone. It's awesome. A carbon monoxide detector, plus no trip fees, next day installations, and 100% satisfaction guaranteed. They even offer military, first responder, and senior discounts, because at L&L, they really do treat you like family. So when it's too hot or too cold, don't wait. Call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning or visit bestdenverhvac.com. bestdenverhvac.com. Trust me, you'll be comfortable with L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. All right, we'll continue. Phone calls and texts are hot. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
the Jeff and Bill Show. Headline from the Denver Post, RTD grappling with illicit drugs and the use of buses and trains as shelters. Lots of debate on this one. Text messages as well. Four Corner Steve saying, once had my windshield cleaned. Now it's horribly smeared from those dirty rags and squeegees that were used. Question for you, Bill, is, do you think that there's a societal benefit to panhandling? I mean, we were debating this last hour. Douglas County saying no panhandling, period, because what you're doing is just handing money to people that are, in most circumstances, addicted to something, alcohol or drugs, and you're furthering that, so there's no benefit to them. So, yeah, we're not going to allow it. Not just the violent ones, but anybody from panhandling. So what's the societal benefit to allowing people to panhandle?
It's, in my opinion, individual freedom. That's where I'm going with this, is the idea of liberty. It's the idea that telling people that this activity, as long as you're not breaking other laws, we would say, no, you can't possibly walk around and ask other people for money. But during this time of the season, everybody recognizes that ringing bell of the Salvation Army, right? That sits out in front of the stores.
Yeah, those are different.
But hang on. But aren't they panhandling? Aren't they standing there asking you for money? Yeah, they are.
No,
sure they are.
One, the institutions are totally different.
Well, again, I'm not arguing institution. I'm talking about an individual standing there asking you for money. Now, if the person has a Salvation Army kettle next to them, now we look at that as a good person versus not.
Because it's doing good.
Hang on a sec, but I'm looking at the individual liberty and the possibility of doing that. The same thing if someone is standing in front of the store and asking me to sign a petition. Same thing. You're still coming up. Yeah, hang on a sec.
The same thing.
Hang on a sec.
What are you talking about?
Hang on a sec. I understand why you don't see them as the same thing, but what I'm saying is it's an individual that is standing in a location outside of a business or on a roadway and asking for my participation in something, either to hand them money, to make a signature, to do something like that. I view them, as far as freedom and liberty, much the same way. And that's why I have problems with certain laws against panhandling. I look at the idea of them constraining that public behavior. And I understand the idea that you're saying about that if someone is in public and doing drug use on the trains. I get that. And I understand the director's point about more people. Yes, more people do tend to prevent that type of activity in public. The question I get down to, and it's an uncomfortable one, is which drugs? Because we're okay with some drug use in public. We're just not okay with lots of different drug use in public. And what I mean by that is tobacco and alcohol is perfectly fine, and those are drugs. And that's perfectly fine for us to walk around and consume those in public. And they're not looked at as anything that we would say you need to be arrested for. We have people that will spill out of bars absolutely plowed on the regular here in Denver. And because they're completely drunk, maybe even consuming alcohol in public, we don't arrest them and put them in there. We have drunk tanks, et cetera, if they get into a car and they do things that are wrong. But just because they're on the street necessarily drunk doesn't always lead to an arrest. That's why that's what I'm curious about. And that's why I have a problem is I think we'd have to discuss which drugs and when. Because you might, if it's the idea that they're creating a public disturbance on the train and not making people safe, then you could make an argument to staff police officers outside of those bars at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning downtown, round up a whole bunch of them. We can have that discussion. That's where I'm talking about the freedom and liberty. That's why I'm curious about where these constraints are. I understand that it sounds like a good thing at first, but then when we examine a little bit deeper, I think it becomes a little more problematic.
I don't think so at all. With regards to panhandling, there's clear distinctions. What if you're panhandling to get money for drug and alcohol use and abuse? No, we're not going to allow that to happen. If you're out there ringing a bell with a kettle, it's because you're supporting the Salvation Army. If you're collecting signatures for a ballot, those guys aren't panhandling. And it's going to totally different good things versus drug use or alcohol consumption. And with regards to use of drugs in public, no, you cannot drink a beer on RTD's buses, and you also can't light up your meth pipe. You can't do either of those. But it seems like we're allowing both of those to fester on these on RTD, and nobody wants to ride it as a result of it. We're spending an extra amount of money, nearly doubling the security in order to deal with it. So you shouldn't be able to do it. I don't see any problem with these distinctions. What it seems like to me, the problem is we're not willing to enforce it in order to make our communities safer. We come up with some weird personal liberty argument that you need to live in a tent and smoke meth and take fentanyl pills as if that's somehow fulfills the American dream. No, there's safety and rights issues at stake here, and we need to crack down on it, and you have no constitutional right to do that. Feel free to join the conversation. Give us a call at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line, 720-819-5115. All right, let's talk Gyrie's, folks. My wife and I went to a Gyrie's location in Parker. They're all over the Denver metro area. Had an absolutely fantastic experience with them. We sat down with their professional designers who showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Look, I'm a little overwhelmed at first because I've never worked with a personal designer. I always thought they were crazy expensive. They're not. At Gyrie's, very affordable, and the designer was a real pro. She walked us through everything, helped us find the perfect options to enhance the look and functionality of our home. So whether you got curtains clashing or you just want a fresh look, Gyrie's has the solution for you. They're designers or the experts, and they can help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. Here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come directly to you. So you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit Gyrie's.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com. Gyrie's.com. Go see the great people at Gyrie's. You'll be sure to thank me. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Bob in Longmont. Good morning, Bob. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Hi, Jeff and Bill. How are you guys this morning?
Good. Hope you're doing well. What's on your mind?
Well, in the panhandling situation, the way I see that, fellas, is, when you talk, Bill, when you talk about the Salvation Army or anything like that, that's a little different story, I think. I mean, I agree with Jeff on that. Those folks there are promoting goodwill and help for the, it could be the homeless too, the people that are out there panhandling if they need it, in a safe manner. And, it's the big thing I see about panhandlers when you're on the street corners, and I drive all over the city here, number one, it's dangerous for them as well. There's the issue of sanitation and public safety out there too. There's, I don't see any facilities for these guys to, use the restroom or any of that. So I think that's kind of not only a safety issue, but a sanitation issue for the public too.
Bob, I agree with you. The money's just going to totally different areas. One is going to an institution to help people. The other is facilitating abuse, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. They're not the same at all. Join the conversation. No. We'll continue this into the next hour. I want you to be a part of it. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.